1887. She wrote the poem. The New Colossus is a sonnet by American poet Emma Lazarus, 1849-1887. She wrote the poem in 1883 to raise money for the construction of a pedestal for the Statue of Liberty, Liberty Enlightening the World. In 1903, the poem was cast onto a bronze plaque and mounted inside the pedestal's lower level. Emma Lazarus, July 22, 1849 to November 19, 1887, was an American author of poetry, prose, and translations, as well as an activist for Jewish and Georgist causes. She is remembered for writing the sonnet, The New Colossus, which was inspired by the Statue of Liberty, in 1883. Its lines appear inscribed on a bronze plaque, installed in 1903, on the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. The last lines of the sonnet were set to music by Irving Berlin as the song, Give Me Your Tired, Your Poor, for the 1949 musical Miss Liberty, which was based on the sculpting of the Statue of Liberty, Liberty Enlightening the World. The latter part of the sonnet was also set by Lee Hoybe in his song, The Lady of the Harbor, written in 1985 as part of his song cycle, Three Women. This poem was written as a donation to an auction of art and literary works conducted by the Art Loan Fund exhibition in aid of the Bartholdi Pedestal Fund for the Statue of Liberty, to raise money for the pedestal's construction. Lazarus's contribution was solicited by fundraiser William Maxwell Evarts. Initially, she refused, but writer Constance Cary Harrison convinced her that the statue would be of great significance to immigrants sailing into the harbor. The New Colossus was the first entry read at the exhibit's opening on November 2, 1883. It remained associated with the exhibit through a published catalog until the exhibit closed after the pedestal was fully funded in August 1885, but was forgotten and played no role at the opening of the statue in 1886. It was, however, published in Joseph Pulitzer's New York World as well as the New York Times during this time period. In 1901, Lazarus's friend Georgina Schuyler began an effort to memorialize Lazarus and her poem, which succeeded in 1903 when a plaque bearing the text of the poem was put on the inner wall of the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. One plaque hanging inside the Statue of Liberty, the line, Keep Ancient Lands, Your Storied Pomp, is missing a comma, and reads in Lazarus's manuscript, Keep Ancient Lands, Your Storied Pomp. 9. The plaque also describes itself as an engraving, it is actually a casting. The original manuscript is held by the American Jewish Historical Society. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed, sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome, her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor the twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she, with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest toast to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. The poem is a Petrarchan sonnet. The title of the poem and the first two lines reference the Greek Colossus of Rhodes, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, a famously gigantic sculpture that stood beside or straddled the entrance to the harbor of the island of Rhodes in the 3rd century BC. In the poem, Lazarus contrasts that ancient symbol of grandeur and empire, the brazen giant of Greek fame, with a new Colossus, the Statue of Liberty, a female embodiment of commanding, maternal strength, mother of exiles. The sea-washed, sunset gates are the mouths of the Hudson and East Rivers, to the west of Brooklyn. The imprisoned lightning refers to the electric light in the torch, then a novelty. The air-bridged harbor the Twin Cities frame refers to New York Harbor between New York City and Brooklyn, which were separate cities at the time the poem was written, before being consolidated as boroughs of the city of Greater New York in 1898. The huddled masses refers to the large numbers of immigrants arriving in the United States in the 1880s, particularly through the port of New York. Lazarus was an activist and advocate for Jewish refugees fleeing persecution in Tsarist Russia. Paul Auster wrote that Bartholdi's gigantic effigy was originally intended as a monument to the principles of international republicanism, but the new Colossus reinvented the statue's purpose, turning liberty into a welcoming mother, a symbol of hope to the outcasts and downtrodden of the world. John T. Cunningham wrote that, the Statue of Liberty was not conceived and sculpted as a symbol of immigration, but it quickly became so as immigrant ships passed under the torch and the shining face, heading toward Ellis Island. However, it was Lazarus's poem that permanently stamped on Miss Liberty the role of unofficial greeter of incoming immigrants. The poem has entered the political realm. It was quoted in John F. Kennedy's book A Nation of Immigrants, 1958. In 2019, during the Trump administration, Ken Cuccinelli, whom Trump appointed as acting director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, revised a line from the poem in support of the administration's public charge rule to reject applicants for visas or green cards on the basis of income and education. Cuccinelli added the caveat, "Give me your tired and your poor who can stand on their own 2 feet, and who will not become a public charge," later suggested that the huddled masses were European, and downplayed the poem as it was not actually part of the original Statue of Liberty. Cuccinelli's remark prompted criticism. The Trump administration rule was later blocked by a federal appeals court. The speaker first describes what the new Colossus will not be like, the giant bronze statue of the sun god Helios in ancient Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes was constructed to commemorate a military victory and was thought to stand with its legs on either side of a harbor. The speaker then moves from ancient Greece to America, describing the new statue's position on America's eastern shoreline. The statue looks like a powerful woman and holds a torch that's lit through the modern wonders of electricity. She is depicted as a motherly figure who welcomes immigrants to America. She does so through the guiding light of her torch and her gentle yet powerful gaze upon New York Harbor, which is sandwiched between New York City and Brooklyn, which were still separate cities when the poem was written. The poem then gives the statue herself a voice. She speaks directly to the nations of Europe, telling them she wants no part of their showy displays of power. Though she is a silent statue, the speaker suggests that her symbolic message is clear. She goes on to command the ancient European nations to send its impoverished citizens, the thousands who long for freedom, to America. These people have been forgotten and rejected in their overly populated countries with limited resources. Once again, she commands the ancient nations to send her those who have been exiled and battered by the storms of misfortune. She beckons these immigrants toward her with her torch, which metaphorically illuminates the entryway to America and all the opportunities it offers. The new Colossus compares the Statue of Liberty to an ancient Greek statue, the Colossus of Rhodes. While the ancient statue served as a warning to potential enemies, the new statue's name, torch, and position on the eastern shore of the United States all signal her status as a protector of exiles. Her protection extends both to the exiles who founded the United States, and to refugees hoping to make America their new home. When the speaker imagines the statue's voice, the statue speaks directly to the ancient lands of Europe and claims its forgotten and rejected ones as her own. Each of these features contributes to the poem's presentation of the Statue of Liberty as a symbol of welcome, and to the poem's broader message to embrace foreigners with open arms. Through its description of two statues' relationships to the land on which they stand, the poem offers contrasting ways of relating to one's homeland and to foreigners. The first involves the brazen giant, or Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It was constructed to commemorate a military victory, and its conquering limbs were believed to have straddled a harbor. All foreign ships would have had to pass beneath its brazen or bronze legs and, in so doing, to contemplate the demise of the defeated soldiers from whose abandoned weapons the statue was made. This threatening stance served as a warning to approaching sailors and potential invaders. In contrast, the new Colossus stands firmly at the sea-washed, sunset gates of America. This lyrical image of America's eastern shore, the shore that faces Europe across the Atlantic Ocean, connotes a sense of openness to new visitors. This sense of openness is confirmed in lines 4 to 8, in which the statue is called Mother of Exiles, and her torch is described as a beacon. The Statue of Liberty's French sculptor included a torch to symbolize reason and liberty enlightening the world. In the poem, though, the torch instead glows for the same reason a lighthouse does, to safely guide travelers home. It is a beacon, or sign of worldwide welcome, to the thousands of immigrants arriving in New York. The statue's role as patron of immigrants is solidified when the sonnet's sestet, or final 6 lines, puts the New World's guardian in direct conversation with the ancient lands of Europe from which they emigrate. The statue rejects the storied pomp through which European empires, such as those of ancient Greece, were founded and maintained. The Colossus of Rhodes was built from the abandoned bronze weapons of the defeated army of Cyprus. As such, it is a pompous display of power that highlights the victor's story but obscures the suffering of the conquered people. The new Colossus commands the old lands to send its marginalized people, the huddled masses, to her. She will ensure that those who are homeless and long to breathe free will find refuge. The statue's torch returns in the final line as a lamp that illuminates the golden door of American opportunity. This golden promise of the Statue of Liberty, then, offers a tantalizing alternative to all that the ancient Colossus of Rhodes represented. The speaker hopes that the maternal statue and her promise of radical hospitality will become a symbol for America itself. In other words, the poem presents the Statue of Liberty as both part of America and representative of its values, and in so doing argues that America should be defined by its willingness to both accept immigrants and actively welcome them. The poem stages a contrast between stereotypical masculine and feminine values, but then blurs the line between them. It describes the Colossus of Rhodes in terms of strength in battle, something typically associated with masculinity, and claims that the new Colossus will be different. It then describes the new Colossus in terms of both commanding strength and maternal mildness. While the ancient statue offered a display of military dominance and a warning to powerful enemies, the new statue is both mighty and mild in her message of motherly welcome. This blended use of gendered attributes to describe the new statue makes it clear that hospitality should not be seen as some kind of female-specific weakness, but rather as a strength of American society. In other words, the poem suggests that America needs both the power once associated with an all-male military and government, and the mild spirit of welcome once associated solely with women. The speaker first describes what the new Colossus will not be like, the warlike and hyper masculine Colossus of Rhodes, a statue of the Greek Titan sun god, Helios. This ancient statue was brazen in two ways. It symbolized arrogance and strength, and it was built by melting down forging enemies' bronze weapons. The reference to the Colossus of Rhodes's conquering limbs in line 2 recalls the statue's purpose, to celebrate a military victory against Cyprus. These displays of physical and martial strength were understood to typify masculine virtues valued by a patriarchal society, in which positions of power are held by men, and power is used to dominate others, both foreign and domestic. Lines 4 to 7 then describe what the new Colossus will be like, a mild and mighty mother. Although the speaker first promises that this new statue will not be like the Colossus of Rhodes, the next lines show that she won't be its polar opposite, either. In place of the powerful male god, the new Colossus is a mighty woman. If the ancient statue was built partly to warn off potential invaders, the new Colossus understands her role as guardian differently. She is a mother of exiles, holding a torch as a glowing sign of worldwide welcome. If the ancient statue's enormous legs straddled a harbor in the posture of a conqueror, the new statue can command a harbor equally well through her mild eyes. It becomes clear, here, that hospitality is not a gendered weakness, but a societal strength. In the poem's final 6 lines, signs of feminine mildness continue to merge with masculine boldness. Though the statue is imagined crying out with silent lips, the message she silently conveys is nonetheless powerful and universally understood. Setting up one more contrast between the male and female statues, the new Colossus invites the ancient lands to keep their displays of power and instead entrust the powerless to her care. She will protect the poor and homeless and guide them toward the golden door of opportunity. She, in other words, will be a defender of the world's weakest people and offer them the resources needed to become strong. The statue's gendered attributes offer a new kind of strength that, even in its pointedly peaceful purpose, rivals that of the ancient, male-dominated world and, the poem implies, will eventually replace it.